Good morning. In this week's Torah portion, when the Torah begins to discuss the Exodus from Egypt, the Torah begins by enumerating the genealogy of the first 3 tribes of the 12 tribes of Israel: Reuven, Shimon, and Levi, and their descendants. And Rashi asks the question, why stop after the 3rd tribe? Why just the first 3 tribes? And one of the answers Rashi gives is that we know that Jacob on his deathbed addressed each one of his 12 sons and blessed them. But with the first 3 sons, Reuven, Shimon, and Levi, he reprimanded them. Reuven said, "You are my oldest, my firstborn, but you are impulsive. You rearrange the beds of your mother, and therefore you're unstable." Shimon and Levi said, "You have the trait of anger. You wiped out the city of Shechem when they abducted your sister Dinah, and with your wrath you killed an entire city. And therefore now, when the Jews are ready to go out of Egypt, you may think that these 3 tribes are less important and have a lower status than the other tribes." And therefore the Torah specifically discusses the families of Reuven, Shimon, and Levi to highlight that they are as significant as the other tribes. And the word that Rashi says is shechashuvim heim. You are important. Chashuv in Hebrew means significant, valuable, precious, as the other tribes. But it's interesting to note that the word chashuv, which means someone is important in Hebrew, is from the word machshava, which means thought, which implies a very deep message. And the message is that sometimes who we think is important and significant versus who we think is insignificant or unimportant is a matter of our thought process, meaning it's a figment of our imagination. Very often the person we think is very prestigious and important is in reality not important. In other words, they're not truly a valuable, precious, important individual. Their true nature may contradict what appears to you. And on the other hand, someone who you may overlook and think this person is not, as we say, a VIP, a very important person, may actually be the most important VIP in the eyes of God. And therefore, be careful when you judge people. Don't do any judgment of others. Don't pass judgments, because we don't know. We only have our imagination of what we think and believe about a person. Only God knows who is truly righteous and good and precious and valuable because of their true nature, not because of their appearances, which is only chashuv in our eyes, in our machshava, in our thought process. There's a story about the Tosfos Yontif. He was the rabbi in Krakow in the 1600s. He wrote a commentary on the entire Mishnah. And there was a Jew in his town by the name of Yassel, who was nicknamed Yassel the Miser. He was very wealthy, but he refused to give charity. And when he was on his deathbed, the burial society pleaded with him and said, "You've never given charity. You're dying anyways. You can't take the money with you. At least give some charity now." And he refused. And so after he died, the Chevra Kadisha said, "We can't bury this man in the Jewish cemetery." So his family went and buried him outside the cemetery. After he died, that week on Friday, the rabbi, the Tosfos Yontif, gets one knock on his door after another. Poor people coming for charity, for food for Shabbat. And he started to ask them, "Why is it that you've never come before?" And one after another said, "We don't know. All we know is that the baker and the butcher and the grocery shop, they would give us free food." And suddenly they stopped. So he ran out to go talk to all these shopkeepers and says, "Why are you stopping to give the poor people food?" And one after another said, Yassel, who was known as Yassel the Miser, was actually a generous man. He said, "You can give as much food to poor people on one condition: you don't tell them that I'm paying the bill." And every week he would come in and pay all the bills for all the food we gave out for free. But now that Yassel died, we can't afford to do this anymore. And they realized what a terrible mistake they made, that they judged this man his whole life and ridiculed him for being a miser when he was actually the most generous man in town, but wanted to remain anonymous. And so, on his grave they wrote, "Here lies Yassel the holy miser." And when the Tosfos Yontif died, he asked that he be buried right alongside Yassel the holy miser. Let's reserve judgment about others. Everyone should be chashuv, important, significant, a VIP in our eyes. Let God be the judge. Have a wonderful day.